What's up, guys? Welcome to what I believe is the fourth installment of the podcast. And I got a name for it now. You probably saw it in the title. It's Holistic Iron Podcast. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, what the hell does this name even mean, Nick? Well, I'll explain to you. Holistic is a word used to describe the wholeness of your body, your ability of your body to be one unit, to work together, the interconnection between all parts of your body, including your mind. It's your mind and matter connection. And I think that's a very good way of describing what this podcast is supposed to be about, because not only do I talk about physical things here, calories, macros, training, body composition, whatever, the mental aspect of it is just as important, and the mental benefits are just as important, and that's what the focus of this podcast in specific is going to be about. And iron, obviously, referring to the fact that it's primarily a fitness podcast. Now that we got that out of the way, and I hope you guys like the name, and if you don't, well, that's your issue, because I like the name. I think it's cool. If you don't think it's cool, that's your own problem. But listen, we got a lot to talk about now, so let's just jump right into it. So you guys probably saw my last vlog there with Justin. I don't know if I posted that yet, or I don't know if the podcast coming before or after, but I had a little talk with the camera in the end, and that got me thinking a lot, right? Let me run you guys through this thought process that I had and how it refers to gym and training in general. So, we human beings, we are much like every other animal in nature. We are a part of it. We are a part of a social structure. We network much like other animals do. And just like an ant farm, we all have a purpose, and we all have a function in our society that we are meant to perform. That is a product of our destiny. You might disagree with me, but that is what I believe is true to be. And we're all meant to fit shoes that we are able to walk, right? There's a quote by Eminem at the end of the song Beautiful. My favorite Eminem song, probably. I know the lyrics to that since I was like 9 years old. God gave you them shoes that fit you. Just put them on and wear them, right? Be yourself, man. Be proud of who you are. And even if it sounds corny, you never let anyone tell you that you ain't beautiful. That's the quote. Coming from that, we obviously see a lot of people around us in our society that fail to uphold what is meant for us, what is meant for them. And there's a reason behind that. A lot of that reason comes from their insecurity, their sense of their low validation of themselves. They think they have a lower value than what they really have, right? They don't think they have the capability of upholding what was meant for them. And sometimes it may even take a while for them to figure out what's meant for them, but that's a different story, right? Ultimately, these insecurities are imposed on these people by society, by people looking down on them and making them feel like they aren't able to fill the shoes that they are meant to fill. And that is both society and their mental state are to blame for this. Society is one of the causational factors. Their mental state is just their ability to accept it. And failure to overcome those insecurities results in what I think is the biggest problem today, which is the epidemic of mindlessness. People are so focused on things that don't matter, right? These people that are mindless, they are part of the mindless army. They tend to seek more short-term pleasures than long-term ones. Now, let's get into this in specific. Little thought bubble, as you would call it right here. as John Green would call it. What is the difference between momentary and long-term pleasures? Short-term versus long-term pleasures. There are two big differences. Difference number one is that short-term pleasures are easy to achieve. They're easily achievable, right? You eat some candy in your pantry that you've been wanting to eat. Short-term pleasure, right? Alcohol, you think it's fun. Mindless. Short-term pleasure, right? You drink, boom, you're there. You speed with your car. Short-term pleasure. Because, well, if you like speed, if you're like me and you like speed, you'd probably feel a rush of adrenaline. Short-term pleasure. Those are easy things to achieve, right? At any given moment, you can go in your pantry and get a piece of candy. Long-term pleasures require a lot more work. It is working without seeing the immediate results of your actions. Now, the biggest example of that I can think that you guys can probably relate to is the gym. Even though as a beginner, you start off and you literally make gains. You literally notice differences week to week, week by week. You notice your pecs growing, your arms are getting bigger, your legs are getting bigger. While that is true, that progress is rapid when you're a beginner, it is eventually going to get to a point where you're working harder and harder and harder, and your rate of development in terms of aesthetics is not developing with you, right? It's not a linear correlation between the two, and that's where hard work comes in. The second difference is in terms of gratification itself. Why is long-term gratification so much more gratifying than short-term? Well, it is ironically because of the amount of work you put on it. Think about that. Your degree that you spent 4 years working for, when you step on that stage and you get your diploma, you're going to be so happy, right? Because you literally spent 4 years of your life working towards it. A bodybuilder that steps on stage has been prepping for the past 16, 18 weeks, cutting down, refraining from his short-term pleasures in order to achieve a long-term pleasure of winning the show. There are multiple examples that we can point out in our society, and the ability to control and ignore short-term pleasures is ultimately the biggest pill you're gonna have to swallow in order to achieve long-term success. And in the end, that long-term success is gonna be much more gratifying than the short-term pleasure that you gave up in the first place. Discipline is the way through it. So, going back to our original train of thought here, and actually connecting more to the gym. How do we overcome? How do we give up these short-term pleasures in order to focus on the longer-term ones, the more gratifying ones? Well, one very simple, very effective way of controlling your mind into it is training, the gym. As a beginner, right, you might be the skinny kid, you might be the obese kid, you might be the skinny fat, right? Whoever you are, you don't walk into the gym a monster. You don't walk into the gym being the coolest guy in the room. And even if you are, you don't feel like you are. I know because I've been there. Personal experience. You walk in the gym, you feel threatened. It's a different space, different people, everyone around you perceive as of higher value than you. And that makes your sense of value for yourself drop to a place that you've never seen before. That puts you in a mental space that's very negative. It's very self-deprecating. You put your mind through so much adversity, as well as your body, obviously, because you're there to work out, hopefully. If you want to really change both your mental and physical beings, you have to face the insecurity of walking to the gym as the super skinny or obese kid. And you hammer on it so many times in a row, consecutively, that eventually that state of mind becomes normal. Putting yourself through that adversity over and over and over again builds up your character, creates you a set of morals, gives you certain personality traits, builds up your confidence. And this is the part where it gets important. These traits that you acquire from putting yourself through hard times purposely translate into every other area of your life. And again, I say this with personal experience. The more you are put through adversity, the more you're able to learn from it. The more you grow from it. The lower your low is, the higher your high is going to be. Putting yourself through it on purpose is a way of training your mind into thinking that everything else that you do in your life is easier. If your range is much bigger, the things in the middle are going to seem easy. Think of your life as a wave, right? Like a radio wave. There's a bottom to it, and there's a low, and there's a top to it. If you're able to push that low in a controlled environment like you are in the gym with yourself, with your own limits, with your own boundaries, little by little, pushing it more and more and more, doing that machine that you thought was intimidating before, picking up some dumbbells and going some free weights, right? Picking up a barbell and doing a bench press, a squat, a deadlift. Those are very, very intimidating lifts to do as a beginner. I know because I've been there. If you're able to push that bottom lower and lower and lower, your ability to get higher, higher, higher is only going to increase with it. Like your radio waves, right? The point I'm trying to make here is you grow out of your lows. The gym helps you shape you into who you're meant to be for society. If you're able to put yourself through adversity like that, that will build your character up to the point where everything else becomes easier. Therefore, you are able to perform those actions without insecurities, without a doubt. You're able to have confidence in yourself to perform the actions that were meant for you and fill in the shoes that you were meant to fill. And that is ultimately a benefit, not only to you, but to those around you who love you and care for you. By going to the gym and building yourself some mental fortitude, you benefit not only yourself, but everyone around you. You become that doctor that's going to save someone's life. The epidemic of mindlessness that has been created by society around us is one of the biggest enemies of your success. And the biggest issue with it is that it's normalized. We see it as normal to be mindless now. That's why it's an epidemic. There are so many mindless people that I became the new normal. And it shouldn't be. Because these people are not upholding their potential. They're not contributing to a level that they could be if they were not part of the mindless group. As funny as or as weird as that may sound. So, that's a little bit of a trip that I came through here. This is 15 minutes going. I hope you guys could follow my train of thought. That's just expanding on what I had in the video that I had with Justin on the vlog, right? And I waited a little bit to post about this because I had a podcast with him recorded a while ago, and I waited a little bit to post because of the whole George Floyd incident. I didn't really want to take up space and energy from anything else. I would rather much more you guys focused on that issue, whichever I don't want to call it side, but whatever you're advocating for, whatever you're focusing your energy on. I didn't want to take your energy away from that because I think that's a very important issue for our society now, and I just didn't feel right to me. It didn't sit right to me to post something right now and, take energy away from it and attention away from it and put it somewhere else. So hopefully you made your decision, right? Hopefully you've been there, right? And that's it. That's all I gotta say for you guys today. I hope you guys took something away from this, even though it's super short. I hope you guys. It's hard doing these solo, man. I just get an idea and I want to talk about it, but it's hard when you don't have something to add to the conversation more and more like someone else. But I posted the podcast with Justin probably and the vlog before this, so this was recorded a while ago for you guys. This is probably gonna be episode 4. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. I'm saying too many probablys. Alright, this is it, boys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for tuning into the Holistic Iron Podcast. Thank you for wanting to learn more. Thank you for listening to me. And I'll see you guys in the next one.